delegates. Good morning to everyone. And some of the presentation which I am going to make is the emerging trend in survey and its potential application, mainly concentrating on the application, the kind of application which demands the kind of the technology which is emerging. And there's a huge amount of potential demand, the application demand which is there in the country, which almost everyone knows. Only because of this, the many technology towards the surveying and the information acquisition related activities which has come up as well as in India also. There are a number of platforms which is available now, of course, for information acquisition as well as the processing related activities, and especially the ground-based surveys, information collection and the aerial related, as well as some of the spaceborne activities also is available right now in a vast platforms as well as vast variety of technology which is available in the country to acquire this kind of information and putting it for the various developmental activities. And if you look at the ground surveys, of course, the technology is available now. The many instruments is available. There is large amount of improvement in each of the technology, each of the instruments which is coming up. Of course, like auto level to DGPS and course and many kind of activities. But some of the trends which you look at it right now today is like the emerging ones, like along with this kind of instruments, there are many of the instruments is combined with the different kind of sensors, like carbon dioxide measurements. Some of the sensors being attached with this kind of instruments, so that you collect the information as well as not only the surveying, as well as you have large amount of environmental information also to be acquired along with this survey, as well as you can integrate these kind of information when you go for this kind of planning. So like this, the many kind of improvement is also coming up with the this kind of technology. And of course, now along with the survey, along with the ground survey, total station, you have now imaging related activities also coming up. Many of this one now emerging, like environmental sensors and WLAN networking while surveying itself. Of course, makes it very easy to now go for this kind of surveys, information acquisition. And if you look at the application related, of course, there is a number of applications which needs this kind of information. Of course, the land information system, irrigation, infrastructure related, of course. And if you, you can list the number of applications now. Ultimately, if you see, the imagination is the limit for kind of information being used for all the developmental activities. Of course, the many, like some of the applications like geofencing applications is now emerging, precision farming kind of activities which needs this kind of ground survey information which could be collated and used for precision farming activities, and some of the innovative applications like accident reconstruction, like suppose accident has happened. Of course, this being surveyed based on the ground survey, and then this accident is being reconstructed, and then they can always use it for many applications. So this kind of innovative applications also is coming up now. Now, of course, the express highways and railways, it's already is being used, this kind of technology for applications. Of course, the terrestrial lidar is one of the technology which is coming up, like street mapper or many of the things which is coming up, where the very huge amount of information is being acquired as a point clouds, and which is being used for DM generation, asset mapping, or many kind of activities which is being made. And at the same time, the kind of demand which the application makes is a very, very fine resolution contour intervals which is needed for many of the applications, which is very well we can derive from the terrestrial lidar also. So these are the kind of information which is being used. And of course, the mobile lidar mapping, this many of the large amount of advantage which is available with this kind of lidar mapping, which is also emerging technology, and of course in India, which is coming up now. Of course, many people have started using it, and it has got a huge amount of advantage for using it, for mapping it, information acquisition related. this one, mainly for the urban related and the traffic topography related activities which the mobile radar mapping system is being used. And as for the this application, what like some of the applications which is emerging is like the survey grade accuracy and the mapping grade accuracy, which demands this kind of application, which this kind of information to be acquired, is of course it's being in many of the activities. Like asset inventory is one of the important aspects. With every organization and every project needs some kind of asset to be mapped. So this is some kind of the focused area where these technology provides information where it's being used. And environmental surveys, of course, is also one of the important aspects where everyone need to have this kind of information. And the yes surveys like the volume related estimations and the urban mapping, kind of 3D modeling, all kind of the coastal zone erosion, road, railway, electrical, utilities, building, floods related, all these kind of applications, it is being used for the mobile mapping units are being used. And some of the surveys which also we have carried out in our this one is like road surveys, which is precisely you can always have even the signboard and many things we can always pick it up with the minor details which can be used as a kind of information for planning activities. And of course some of the aerial surveys is emerging is again number of the presentations already made on this one unmanned aerial vehicle. Of course we have the opportunity to process this kind of data and to see what is the kind of accuracy and how best we can use it for the different kind of applications. This of course, apart from that, there's balloons and of course kites. This kind of technology also is coming up now, because many people are trying to have on a operational basis. Of course not right now, it may not be available in the commercial mode, but of course these are the kind of technology which is coming up. But the accuracy level, like in terms of centimeters, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, this kind of accuracy, of course, one can always imagine that how much amount of information will be available, which can be used for different planning activities. And of course, the airborne laser scanning is another technology which is also is coming up in India, which has a huge amount of potential as far as the market is concerned. And of course, there are the two forms like waveforms and the discrete return form. And right now, whatever the kind of airborne laser scanning systems available is the discrete return, where you need to have. I mean, you will be having the information on the kind of point clouds which being interpreted for many kind of this one. And the applications, if you look at it, when right now it's being used for many kind of applications in terms of mapping the vegetation and electrical utilities and power lines, and many of things is coming up. But of course, it has got a huge amount of potential in terms of geomorphology and finding of the faults related, volume change in open pits, the power transmission lines and vegetation stand heights and biomass estimation. Of course, now in forestry sector, there is a lot of applications coming up now. People are trying to venture on using this kind of data for the forest-related activities also. And generation of DSM, DTM is the basic kind of information which is needed for many of the applications. And of course, the building footprints related information. And of course, the kind of accuracy, suppose if you look at it, of course, like 2 centimeter to 15 centimeter vertical accuracy is very, very important information where one can rely upon. And the kind of other application, the forestry application, if we see the kind of R-square, which is the kind of prediction which you made, or the mapping which you make, and which is ground survey. If you correlate it, it has got a very good correlation. Of course, it can be used for many of the species identification in the forest, in height, and many kind of information which can be used for this kind of applications. Of course, some of the studies which we also
had and BAM are using this kind of data studied for the flood related as well as the DSM generation related, which were used for the flood related activities. Of course, another one is the airborne photogrammetry. Now the trend which is coming up is the large format digital camera, which is coming up to reduce the flight height also, as well as the resolution, final resolution one, and the discrete sensor orientation using the some of the sensors, reducing the GCP requirement also. With the view one or two GCPs, of course, you can carry out entire the kind of activity, entire kind of information which can be used for different kind of usage. Then, of course, balloons and kites, which is also coming up. And this is some of the photographs which is being used. This is mainly some of the activities like innovative application, like studying about the building rooftops and finding out the slope of the rooftop and the area, as well as trying to calculate how much of solar power panels can be put into this one, as well as the aspect information. You're looking at the aspect information. This kind of studies also which has been done by us, and we have already developed some kind of a small model which can be used in India also. And airborne as well as spaceborne SAR, of course, this kind of information also, this kind of technology also available now. Of course, the is not becoming familiar with most of the information acquisition area. And of course, they have a huge amount of potential, of course, being used for a specific kind of activity like crop mapping. When you say the spaceborne SAR is during the disaster, during the monsoon seasons, and many of the applications like damage assessments, landslide, land subsidence kind of activities, kind of information is being acquired. And and if you get into the satellite images and photogrammetry, of course, there are a huge amount of sensors improvement which is coming up, the constant increase in the geometric resolution. Of course, it's increasing in terms of centimeters, it's going very fine resolution. The multispectral capabilities also increasing, and hyperspectral capabilities also, it is going on in every kind of sensors which is going on, some kind of improvements, and the improvement in revisit capabilities. Of course, now if you look at the satellites, when it comes in a particular orbit, it takes a lot of time to come into the same orbit, but there are some kind of a technology which is coming up now, putting it in the geosynchronous orbit, and revisiting capabilities, improving the revisiting capabilities of the Earth observations also now is coming up. So you can have the many number of observations within a very particular time. There's some kind of constraint right now, it is there. The enhanced stereo capabilities, of course, it's also is coming up. The kind of sensor web also coming up, looking at the different sensors put in the orbit, looking at the same place for several times by the different satellites, like intelligent satellites also coming up. And the kind of application, the 2D, 3D mapping of the urbans and rural assets is one of the important aspects. Now, most of the government agencies or most of the organizations very much interested in having this kind of asset mapping, and smart city applications is also coming up with this kind of applications. And command area irrigation, of course, this is one of the area where you need to have like looking at the up to the micro irrigation level, you need to have this kind of information to use. Like this kind of application provides the information up to like 0.5 meter resolution pictures. Even now it's getting improved, and at the same time the kind of contour information which is being derived from the photogrammetry process is also being used for the different for the micro irrigation level. The crop type mapping, because of the multispectral activities, the crop type mapping in every command area, of course they need to have now. The entire country, they're looking for crop type mapping now, specifically mapping which are the crops being grown in a particular area and which are the seasons and all. the alignment of road, pipeline, and the implementation of the development schemes. When they implemented the monitoring mechanism is also one of the important aspects of the now mandatory process for most of the developmental schemes. So the monitoring aspect also now is being used, the kind of information being acquired and monitored using this kind of technology. And this is the WorldView, some of the pitches, and some of the areas we also worked with the WorldView data in the Narmada Valley Development Corporation, where we derived the DSM and the DTM and the contours for specifically designing some kind of a small earthen dams as well as the irrigation channels for micro irrigation purposes. And of course, spaceborne LIDAR now is coming up. This is another technology which is coming up in the basically waveform kind of this one, where the provides the information even in the laser polarization information also, which can be used for many kind of applications, which is also now emerging. And these are the different survey methods when you complied the kind of scales which is available, where the amount of the application demand, based on the application demand, the kind of scale information which can be obtained in each of the ground surveys, and the major potential of this one, as well as one of the important aspect which I'd like to make here is the kind of the technology which is available, which has to come to India to provide a large amount of information to be provided for various developmental activities. Of course, there are some kind of constraints which is there, like remarks on the flying permission is, of course, the huge amount it takes for getting the permission from the authorities. That is one important aspect where these kind of technology takes slightly backstage. But out of this technology, the emergency situation like flood, cyclone, earthquake, this one, you need to have this kind of technology on a very, very fast track, so that the information will be can be obtained and used for many applications. To satisfy the growing demand of these kind of applications, the latest maps and shortest possible time, this kind of technology like the aerial laser, aerial photography, as well as UAV, this kind of thing, which is very fast and provide the information in a very, very shortest time. And of course, some of the projects, of course, it's a very, very time bound. Its project duration also very less. That also demand this kind of application, this kind of technology, where you need to have this one. If this kind of procedures slightly relaxed, of course, this kind of technology immediately gets into all the kind of activities which will be used and managed information and served, can be put for the various developmental activities in a fast track. Thank you so much.